skyrocketed. So a $600 pension 10, 15 years ago won't buy much of anything here today.
And why the millennial generation is starting to give up because they can't afford to get a good job or own a house.
8 million Venezuelans voting for this assembly, saying it's actually less than 3.
It is. And people are going to start rioting in the streets.
Was reported to have asked Putin for military support that would help him stay in power.
We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
And they ignore him. And 8 more years goes by till Bernie himself finally admits to his sons, hey, I've been running a Ponzi scheme.
Does its dominance mean it can use the alliance for its own ends?
Since 1981, bond yields, also known as coupon rates, have just gone down and down and down.
The Federal Reserve note will be your biggest financial liability.
RTD Live Talk. It's Wednesday night, the 17th day of the month of October. We are live, and I'm looking forward to finding out what's on your mind this evening. And so, as always, before we dive any further, I want to welcome you to RTD Live Talk. My name is Mike, the host of RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late-night YouTube talk show. Thanks for tuning in. As always, if we have any new viewers, feel free to let me know where you're watching us from in the chat, as well as there's a number above my head, which is for you to call in and share what's on your mind via audio, via your voice. So 1-833-LIVE-RTD is the number for you to call in. And also, before I actually find out what's on your mind, I want to let you know what's on my mind. And it has to do with the systemic nature of student debt, as well as a variety of other debts. And so I have a couple articles I want to share with you that I wasn't able to get to via video earlier throughout the day, or yesterday especially. And then also find out what your thoughts were on last night's complete blackout on YouTube. And so I sat down at the computer at 9:30 trying to connect with you guys, and I clicked stream and my screen went blank and it said error. And so apparently YouTube was down. I'm not sure the reason why. I actually didn't look any further into it, but I'm curious to find out what your thoughts are about that, because it got me to thinking that, you know, it's the second most viewed or used website on planet Earth. So out of 7 billion plus people, it's the second most viewed, especially in the developed nations. But I'm thinking about YouTube, or Google itself has the top 2 spots, with google.com is #1, YouTube is #2, and Facebook is #3. And I'm thinking about that's such a great monopoly to have over the internet, where everyone will come through your services one way or another. And then on the other side of that is that what if they decided to basically try to prove a point or try to show the viewers how much we need them or use their services, by that blackout being something intentional or whatnot, because I'm sure it impacted a lot of people around the planet, because everyone tends to go to their phone and click on YouTube. And so when you click on YouTube, you can't watch anything. I'm sure that messed with people's businesses as well as just overall entertainment in the evenings, especially. So love to find out your thoughts on that. What else we got going on here? We got Tony, Philman, Spirit, Jen, Brando, Philman. And it says, apparently Venezuela dropped the dollar and will use the euro from now on. The dollar is screwed. Spirit King, you can never be more on time with that one. And so that was another one that came out actually last night. The economic minister of Venezuela mentioned that because of all the sanctions and just the pain that the United States of America is being is to the Venezuelan people, they're not going to use the dollars no more. And so that is another issue we can talk about as well, because not only was Venezuela the first country to come up with a crypto-backed currency to use outside that to avoid sanctions, but it really got me to thinking. Of course, I've always been questioning this matter. That's the name of the show, Rethinking the Dollar. But it really got me to thinking about how important really is it to own or possess dollars in your own personal economy. And I'm thinking from the standpoint of, apart from the fact that here in this country, it's legal tender and it's required for all goods, dues, and services and taxes especially. But once you get beyond taxes and the conventional things that we use, to save it. We use it to spend for our daily needs. But I think the time is coming where more people, especially outside this country, realizing you really don't need to hold dollars. Hence, what Venezuela's doing with getting rid of the dollar out of their system in general. And so that's one less country that considers the Federal Reserve note a currency worth holding in their savings, i.e. the whole idea of a reserve currency. So if it's no longer their reserve currency, it's good to say that that's going to have a domino effect down the line. So, at the end of the day, I would not want to be the last one holding a Federal Reserve note, put it like that. And so what the good thing about what's happening now, there's so many things that's being positioned as options and alternatives. And so definitely there's going to come a time where no one will no longer want to receive or even really hold a Federal Reserve note except for some type of keepsake or memorabilia. As I have around me here, I have a couple currencies that I keep as just fresh reminders. So I got two $100, not $100, but 100. I got 100 peso and 100 Bolivar note as a reminder what happens when paper becomes more of a souvenir as opposed to a medium of exchange because of lack of trust and confidence in the paper. So that's just me. But what else we got here? It says, my student debt killing me. Brando, you're not the only one, buddy. So I got 2 articles I want to share with you from especially one extremely credible source that I enjoy reading and watching her commentary. And then another one that came out today on how it's getting worse and how the delinquency rate has increased since the Great Recession. And we're supposed to be in an economic expansion, but people are really feeling a pinch when it comes time to paying those things. And the most important part about all that is that a part of the whole idea of getting ahead in life and to reaching the next level of income and as well as just quality of life, the mainstream narrative is to go back to school. So you hear more people saying you're not educated enough. You need to be certified. You need to get a doctorate. You need to get a math or whatever. And people are going right back to school, not realizing that they're taking on a debt load that more than likely the chances of them actually acquiring a position, unless it's some type of specifically skilled type of position, they probably won't be able to pay that back the way they think they probably can or will not. So got an article I want to share with you on that one. So definitely we're going to cover that one. And this says, Mike, as it is most countries need dollar reserves simply to get oil, gas. Alternatives are finally appearing. We won't need those reserves. Very true. And so apart from the fact that the petrodollar standard has been around for the last close to almost 50 years now, once that thing is no longer a mandatory necessity in the global economy, then that's going to leave us on the other side of this equation being stuck with a lot of, as someone says here, toilet paper. Kevin, how you doing, my friend? Welcome. Nicodemus, welcome. XRP, amazing investment. Nicodemus, you're on XRP like that, huh? I'm hearing more and more XRP, but the question is, will Coinbase add XRP? Because if Coinbase adds XRP first, then I can see Gemini, I can see the BACT, I can see all those other new exchanges that's coming online offering those directly for fiat. But until that time, I personally just never been a fan of XRP. Iraq, Tony, what's happening in Iraq? Sanctions are only against OPEC countries, Venezuela, Iran. The U.S. owns Kuwait and Iran. Guess who's next? Qatar, last of the big five or axis of evil. Yeah, also, there's sanctions on Zimbabwe. And speaking of which, it's been a while since I've covered it, but Zimbabwe right now, I've been talking about it for years now, but Zimbabwe right now is in a very tight situation because they're running out of currency because the primary medium of exchange is dollars and as well as South African rand. But people are, because of a panic right now, over the last week especially, people are anticipating some type of monetary response. So they're going out right now and they're buying up everything they can off store shelves. And so it's becoming a problem because you have people wanting to get rid of those bond notes that they've issued over the last 2 years that aren't holding up their end of the bargain because they're being devalued rapidly. So people are getting rid of those bond notes and they're raiding stores to where if you go in certain stores, according to some videos I've seen, they have, you can only buy 2 or 3 of certain items because people are anticipating some type of currency situation. So they're getting prepared by buying out grocery stores. So could you imagine something like that happening here? Yeah, just something to think about. Brando says 150,000, Brando, student loan debt. So Brando, the question for you, not to put you on the spot, but given what you know now, I assume that you might have a different thought process or approach towards how you arrived at, the end result of that 150K. So if you can go back and do it again, would you go back and do it the same way you've done it to date? Assuming that, you could be in a very good position, employment wise or whatever you're doing to where it might have been worth it for you. But from the way you mentioned that the student debt's kicking your butt, was it and has it been worth the headache that it's causing you now? And also, do you have like a plan, short term or long term, of actually paying it off? Or are you waiting to some type of debt restructuring where you might get bailed out in a way where you don't have to pay it back or whatnot? So feel free to share with me, my friend. He says, hell yeah, I love my job. That's good, man. That is good. So if you love your job, I guess it was worth it then. So more power to you, brother. Appreciate you for sharing that. Says school only teaches you how to become a slave to the system. Jesse James says Ripple, please. Oh yes, Digibyte is king. I think that says king. Says Zero is a new coin on Coinbase. Zero X new coin is spiked yesterday. I bought $100. Angel, good one, my friend. Yeah, I was up on Zero X about 2 months ago, I think. One of the gentlemen I had on my channel, David Modell, he has a YouTube channel, and I follow him, and we've connected a couple times. And one of his prior guests was a gentleman from overseas that came on his show at the last minute to announce that Coinbase was going to be looking to add 0x, and this was like 2 months ago, or this is 2 months, summertime probably. This was probably summertime. And so right when that happened, I kept an eye. I love listening to a lot of people to put things on my radar, and then I'll put a little tab or something like that to keep track of it. But then I think at that time, 0x was 65, 70 cents. And so, of course, your boy loaded up on it a little bit, and then it went up to $1 something, and then, of course, it corrected. But it's one of them things where, apart from being a Coinbase sponsored coin, I'm not sure what the actual use case will be as of now, because there's so many different coins as well as tokens that's labeled as being disruptive, and so it's a big competition out there, and only a small few are going to survive. And speaking of which, I got a spider. Watch this. See that spider coming down? Bam! I got me a spider, people. Scared the hell out of me. Anyway, wasn't anticipating a spider joining the show, but he's no longer in the land of the living. All right, so anyway, I want to talk about student loan debt at first, and then we can get into crypto, because clearly the crypto community here is growing, and so definitely I want to make sure that I'm sticking true to my roots of making sure I don't forget about my first love, my first passion. Not first passion, but my first level of interest that got me into this, and that's precious metals. So as always, that's not going anywhere. But along the way, precious metals is your hedge against your national currency for the most part. And then on the speculative side of things, you have other things that might be of interest, and that's the crypto sector for those that are willing and interested in speculating, to getting some gains to be able to acquire more of that hard stuff. So anyway, what I want to talk about, it says in Canada, what else we got? Digibyte will be used in African nations. And very good point, but yet also I'm a big fan of, not a big fan, but just recently introduced to Smart Cash. And to my knowledge, Smart Cash seems to have a pretty strong base in Brazil, because they actually have exchanges where you can go exchange fiat directly for Smart Cash in retail stores. And it's like, I heard it's like 1,000, or it's a pretty large number of places you can go and turn in your Brazil real and actually get Smart Cash directly on your phone. So that looked like it's pretty promising in Brazil, given the fact they're going through a situation there. So Digibyte is one of many that could be utilized as a medium of exchange, but it's going to be subject to, as always, more people outside of the developed world adopting it, and it becoming more of a mainstream monetary unit in countries or in countries in Africa as well as South America, where they seem to have the most popularity right now. Because Digibyte, if a lot of people was actually acquiring it up here the way that I believe they will, it'll be a lot higher than 2.3 cents right now. Granted, the market is manipulated. So What else says? Brad, it says, do you say I'm in jail? Okay, I'm not sure if I'm reading that question. Question up to Mike. Let me see your question. We got a question. Philman, Brando, what question? Let me see. Philman, I missed a question. It says go up 90 cents. OS is a blockchain project that's wanting to new ideas of tokenization. I missed a question. Did I miss a question? Philman says, Brando, what school you go for? Mike is most important. So Spirit King says, Mike, as is most countries need dollar or reserve. Okay, so I don't see the question. Philman, repost it again. I'll try to get to it. We got Hernan from Montero, Mexico. Welcome, my friend. How's everything down in Mexico? What area is Monterrey? Is that middle, on the west side, the east side? I'm not quite sure of my geographical locations in Mexico, other than the fact that I was in the eastern hemisphere, and it was a Quintana Roo region not long ago. So GDP is in decline, aka recession. Yeah, recession is okay. Here's another thing on a recession. I realize that if you want to look at things from a global macro standpoint, the world is already in a recession. How would I say that? Is because if you look at if you just look at the emerging markets, quote unquote the emerging markets, all those nations that are struggling, it's the pace at which those countries are running into massive debt problems is increasing, and it's impacting their overall economy, their markets there, as well as overall investment into those countries. People are fleeing capital flight. People are getting out of the currency, so the currencies are devaluing. So watch this. Out of 160 or so countries, I'm not sure the exact number, but I'll be willing to say a lot of those second, third world countries right now may not be doing as well as the first world, the G7 type nations. And so that lets me know that overall the health of this planet monetarily, or as far as our economy, is not really expanding the way that the United States of America is supposed to be expanding. So with that being the case, I'm saying that I believe that we are in a global recession. We are experiencing the tremors of what will become a global meltdown / recession. And so that's what I believe, that we are in a recession probably right now, hence the idea of all this stuff happening with these market corrections. And so it will not be getting any better anytime soon, I believe. So it will definitely get worse. And then another thing to consider is that I was actually thinking about the overall tone of the banking sector right now. Everything is based upon the banking sector remaining strong with liquidity and whatnot, because I'm thinking about this next market correction. The response is going to be more debt, and I'm guaranteeing they're going to do 2, 3, 4 times the amount of currency into circulation, which is just going to it has to touch Main Street in the form of inflation. And if it does, people are really going to begin experiencing what people have been talking about for years now, and that is the actual idea of people going to think that prices are truly rising, but in actuality is actually the paper that's being exposed for what it is, as a monetary unit of debt that can't purchase much. So I have a call. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yo, Mike, it's Brando Commando.
Brando, how you doing, my friend?
Yo, I'm doing great, man. I love your show. Thanks for having all the chit-chat about financial problems.
Yes, sir. Thanks for calling in. So I'm curious, man. Tell me about your situation. You say, from the tone of it, it sounds like you say the student loan debt is kicking your butt, but on the other end, you're loving your job. So it seems like it's a win-win, or what?
I don't know if it's a win-win, but it's a win so far.
It's a win so far.
If you look at the world at large, they have like a lockdown on information.
Mm-hmm.
If you want access to like knowledge and a real career, you gotta pay the man.
Yeah. Okay. So okay, you gotta pay the man. So I'm thinking you're referring to the university that you acquired it from, or the people who loaned you the money for the opportunity to receive the education you did, or what man are you referring to?
I mean, look at it like buying a house, right? You go shopping and you go looking at colleges, and then you get accepted, and then they say, "Oh, well, let's find a way to pay for this dream house of yours," and you don't really realize what you're getting into.
Yeah.
That you're buying like a BMW every year you go to college.
Yeah, BMW. Yeah. So here's my question. You know, if you want to share what field you are in, or so are you currently in the field you went to school for?
Yeah, I'm a pharmacist, and it took 9 years to get here.
Yeah. Okay. That's so. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, 9 years of college is a long time, and you know, student loan payments are over $1,000 a month. But sometimes, you know, you gotta. What do they say? You gotta do the crime, or you gotta do the time if you want to commit the crime.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. So as far as the method of being paying back, are you like on a debt attack to where you're trying to pay it down or pay it off? You just doing bit by bit, or what's your long-term strategy with getting that out your hair altogether?
That's a hard question to answer, but it's like 6 different lenders at this point, you know. So I pay a little bit to some of them. Some of them have been paid off. Some have been paid off. But it's a 30-year plan, you know.
So literally a mortgage type payback. Yeah.
A house. Right, a house you don't have.
Yeah, interesting. Well, so the good thing about it is you enjoy what you do, and assuming moving forward that the need, there will be need for pharmacists. So your job, based upon what I'm gathering from you, sounds like it's something that's going to be in demand for years to come because of the specialty type nature of that position there. So in that case, it obviously was worth it. But on the other side of that, with the rest of the students, the debt problem, it's a lot of people out here who getting degrees and things that are just like newly created things that don't really have much of a marketplace, but more not necessarily specialized, but much more general study type things. And those are the people that I'd imagine probably have a couple regrets, may not really be in their field, and which probably is not the majority, but a good portion of the people that's experiencing some of the problems now. Would you agree or no?
Yeah, absolutely. So you asked what I would do differently, and what I would do differently is get more bang for my buck in an undergrad degree. So the first time I went, I had no idea how much it cost. I just went and I had a great time. And what a waste of $120,000, you know?
Yeah.
But so I keep advising my younger friends and family that when you're in college, it's your time to make it happen. And you really have to absorb as much real world knowledge as you can get your hands on.
Yeah, very true. Very true. And so, like, you know, just to share with you my experiences, and I was very, very fortunate that I received a scholarship for sports. And so looking back now, I'm thinking, like, if I had to have paid or whatever, I would probably be in the same boat because I wanted to enjoy those early years. So I didn't take full advantage of even having a scholarship. So, yeah. So now as a parent now, I'm able to give better advice to my children. Say, you know, if you're going to go that route, you're going to have to get a scholarship, or you need to look outside of just going the conventional route. And I'm a big component of considering trade school because not too many people want to get their hands dirty these days because more people prefer more office sector type jobs. So there's going to be a need for people to use their hands. And I think that's going to be very important in the future because most people can't cook, build, or do anything for themselves because it's all automated now. So, yeah, I think trade schools and trades will be back in fashion real soon.
Right. I think the younger generation has to use their imagination and realize that that hard work is serious business.
Yeah.
And people, you know, they keep saying more and more people starting their own little online businesses, working from home, maybe doing like 2 or 3 part-time jobs.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the healthcare situation is the next big problem after you're paying student loans.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
How do you get health insurance for $800 a month or whatever it costs?
Yeah, good point, man. So that's a lot of things to consider. And I was just actually talking to my wife the other day or yesterday, and we were talking about just how nowadays it's unfortunate that most kids aren't prepared to they're not prepared with anything beyond the mainstream narrative of go to school, get a degree, and then enter the workforce. Those are the 3 basic things that they're told, but yet there has to be more than that because as we can see, it's not really working. And they're not considering or taught about how the economy impacts that. Because you can do all those things right and still come out on the short end of the stick because there may not be no jobs in the sector you go to school in, or the job may be outsourced, or the job may be automated. So, yeah, there's a need for education at a younger age because I think nowadays with the tuition that costs for private schools, especially in middle school and high school, you can get a degree or something like that for the amount of money you spend it for some of these private schools before you get to college. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah. But man, hey, I believe it is what it is. Go ahead.
I'm even thinking about substituting some high school for some college classes. If you can take some cheap credits nearby and opt out of your high school, wasting your time.
Yeah. That would help, man. That'd be a help to a lot of young kids as well, man.
Yeah. So when do you think the crash is coming, Mike? Next week or next year?
I would probably say it's it's happening right now. It's on a political and monetary front. Yeah, it's right now. It's right now because as I was mentioning about, I think there's the tremors are, the earth is shaking right now in a sense as far as our monetary system, because we got so many people that's turning their back on our country politically. It's so divided inside these walls here. That right there lets me know that things are crumbling. So before it becomes mainstream, we hear about in the news. But if you wait to that point, it's gonna be too late because you're gonna lose a lot if you wait to that point. So I would say it's happening right now, my friend.
Yeah, this reminds me of the Roaring '20s, and they're about to pull the plug and enter World War III.
Yeah, and so there's always rumors of wars everywhere nowadays. So yeah, and then we'll see how this Saudi Arabia situation plays out because there was a lot of tough talk beforehand. But I read a minute ago that Saudi Arabia, for some reason, deposited $100 million into the bank, some type of banking account here on Tuesday, as of yesterday. So I wonder, why did they make a deposit? Is that to buy somebody off or to pay for something? Or so we'll see what that $100 million was for, and our response from our president, because he talked big and strong before, and they admitted to doing something to that guy. So we'll see what the response is. If it's swept under the rug, the $100 million probably went to somebody's account. But if not, then we'll see.
$100 million is pocket change. That's what they stash at the safe house when they're trying to escape.
Yeah, definitely. But it's just surprising that it came on Tuesday as Pompey secretary was going over to Pompey. $100 million came this way, so we interchanged. They got our Secretary of State, we got $100 million. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I don't know what it's for, but I'll leave it at that. So, but Brando, I appreciate you calling in, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Good talking to you, man. Have a great one.
You too.
All right.
Interesting, man. Very good stuff, Brandon. I appreciate you calling in. So what's happening in the chat? I missed a couple of things. Any questions out there? As always, 833 Live RTD. Call in. Let me know what's on your mind. And so we're talking a little bit about student debt just because I came across an article. So I might as well just jump right to the article so you can see what I'm talking about. Because I have two different articles here, of which both of them tell a pretty interesting story with some graphs and things of that nature. So let me jump right into it. I'll share with you my screen so you can see what I see. But here's an article here that came out today, early this morning. Is updated about 9:47 today, but it says the student loan debt crisis is about to get worse. The next generation of graduates will include more borrowers who may never be able to repay. And it has to do with the idea, I read through it a little bit, but it's talking about the idea that since the Great Recession, whatever, and all the things that happened after that, a lot of other credit card, auto loans, mortgages have kind of been somewhat flatlined in comparison to student loans. But student loans, it says student loans are the fastest growing segment of U.S. household debt, seeing almost 157% growth since the Great Recession. And so because there was a large amount of unemployment in a variety of sectors, most people now are either underpaid or being laid off their first job. They're going to a second job or needing 2 or 3 jobs. And so they're told to specialize or to dig down even deeper to a market that's quote unquote hot right now. Or if they want to advance in the one that they're currently in now, they need more education on top of that. So what I always find interesting is the fact that you have to pay 20, 30, 40, whatever thousand for 2 years worth of class to get some book knowledge on how to better brand yourself or to learn some skill set to then say you qualified for this management level position, but you're $30,000 in debt and you might get a 4, 5, 10% increase in your pay type of thing. But yet you have a master's or something of that nature. And so is it worth it in the long run for everybody? No, because it's not sustainable, because future employment is based upon the health of the economy. And whenever there's a market correction, first thing to go is jobs. So that means what's going to happen the next market downturn? Are people going to really look to go back to school? No. so we'll see. But here's an idea. It says 160%, and there was some things here that I wanted to get at, but it'd take me too long to read. But one of the things that was most important, I'll share with you the graphs here. It says student loan delinquency rate remains close to post-recession high. So since 2007, close to 1 out of 10 people who have student loans, as it says here, more than 1 in 10 borrowers is at least 90 days delinquent, while mortgages and auto loans has about 1.1% or 4%. So that's pretty high. That's pretty high. 1 out of 10 people in this country are behind on their student loans with no chance of it being, wiped away. You can't file bankruptcy on most of that stuff or any of that stuff for the most part. And so it's just interesting to see that the younger generation are getting shafted. They're starting off at a disadvantage because they're starting off in the hole. Starting off negative is one. I mean, starting off with a clean slate is one thing, but to start off in the hole, it's definitely changes your future plans. And then one of the things here I wanted to share with you, and I'll move on, but to the next article, is what somebody commented. It says, let me find it here. Let me find it. You have generation. Oh man, because it mentioned about how the major problem behind this whole idea is the fact that student loan and borrowing will. Okay, here we go. So the person who is quoted here says there's a systemic problem in the student loan market that doesn't exist in other asset classes. He said, quote, students need to get a job that allows them to pay off their debt. Said the delinquency rate will rise as long as students aren't graduating with degrees that pay back that cost. And so most of the people that are behind their student loans are people who never even finished school. So imagine starting school for whatever reason, quitting or whatever, that debt still is there, and they never got that job. They never finished to be able to qualify for getting that job, but that debt is still over their head. And so the amount of children and adults attempting to go but not able to finish is ever increasing, and that limits them from being able to get the type of job they want. So that's something that people should consider. If you're going to take out a mortgage on your future for information that you are going to use to just get an interview, more than likely, because most of the places you learn, you have to relearn their particular methods and models. They just need to see that you committed yourself to learn this information. Then they're going to teach you their way. So if you're willing to take out a mortgage on your head, make sure you finish school. That will be the primary thing. So if you're going to go into debt, make sure you see the thing through, because the worst thing and the biggest regret you probably will have is going, not finishing, but still owing the man that money, because they're not going to forgive you and say, oh, we're sorry, you couldn't finish, we'll wipe it clean. Good attempt, maybe next time. No, you're stuck. And then the next article, this is from Nomi Prinz that came out last week, and it says 4 pillars of debt in danger of collapse. So she lays out a pretty good case as to why there's 4 types of debt that's unsustainable. It's completely unsustainable, and these figures will let you know how unsustainable it is. And it says overall household debt, and she gives some very interesting statistics here. It says according to a 2017 household financial survey by the Fed, about 1/4 of U.S. adults have no retirement savings, and 41% say they would not have enough savings to cover a $400 emergency expense. So that's 25% of the population doesn't have anything saved for a rainy day. And I think no matter, here's the thing, even if you had something saved for a rainy day, that's going to be challenged because of fiscal policy after this next recession. Because I guarantee you, it's a mathematical certainty, the monetary base will be expanded 2 to 3 times, which will water down anything you think you hold on to anyway. So, yeah. It says the overall level of consumer debt has hit a record high. It's now $618 billion higher than it was prior to the peak at $12.68 trillion. So it's grown that much higher since that time frame. But number one of the 4 pillars of debt, credit card debt. Said the total U.S. credit card loans has increased by $45 billion this year to a massive $829 billion. People right now are living off of their credit card. People are using credit cards as their emergency fund. People are using credit card as a first means of swipe. It's, you're no longer swiping your debit card. You're swiping your credit card, and then you're hoping to pay it back or pay the interest off that thing. It says total revolving credit card debt now stands at 1.04 trillion, higher than its last peak in 2008. Student loan debt says currently the amount of student loans grew to 1.41 trillion in the second quarter of 2018. So just this year alone, this went up close to 200, 300 billion since I did a last report on student loan debt. Auto debt is the third one. Says total auto debt in the U.S. has shot up to 1.24 trillion. The figure is up 48 billion from just a year ago. So here's a couple of pillars here of what's happening where at this current rate, it's not sustainable. I don't see this. And so these four pillars can be the catalyst to lead to some type of the debt implosion that's underway, because people can't no longer afford to maintain a developed world lifestyle because it's becoming more expensive, even in areas where the cost of living is relatively cheaper than the coast. Most people either don't earn enough income or don't have enough to sustain their lifestyles or to keep up with the Joneses, to where they're going to run into some problems really fast. So anyway, share some of your thoughts with me on some of the information I shared, because it's definitely worth mentioning. And it's just a matter of when, not if, because there's too many dominoes in this equation. So far, been on the air a couple minutes now, I've listed several things that can be considered a domino that can tip over and then fall into another one. And so that's the systemic nature of all this that we're talking about, that there is no such thing as security. There's no such thing as safety. Even having a degree in your field of choice doesn't guarantee you're going to keep that job. And then it's a lot of people out here with multiple degrees, either underpaid for not being in their field or no job, doing some part-time work. So all things that we should all consider, my friends. It says you need to do OTJ training. It says school ain't worth it anymore. It says, what 2 or 3 times talk about inflation? Talk about inflations. What 2 or 3 times talk about inflation? So Jeff, was that a question about inflation? It's just a matter of, because right now, if you type in inflation and Fed, you're going to get a lot of freshly released commentary from all types of economists saying that pretty soon the economy is going to start running hot, because the Fed is playing God with our monetary system, because the whole global economy depends upon a decision made by the FOMC, which is a boardroom of individuals for a private bank that determine if they're going to hike rates in a couple of months or if they're going to keep it the same. And as they continue to hike, it makes the current level of debt that much more expensive to service, and it puts more of a burden on our country, because that means our interest payments goes up. And so by the interest rates trying to return to normal, it's going to put a lot of pressure on people who are already strapped for cash. Hence the idea more people are going to need to pull capital from certain things they can't really afford to do. Hence the stock market, as well as people going to start selling off bond market. And so all that stuff right there equals an injection, a need for some more quantitative easing. We're going to need some fresh capital from somewhere. And so it's going to be hard to inject new money into the economy and then not hit Main Street. They did it last time, but they won't be able to get away with it again. So with that being the case, when that freshly printed currency hits the airways, it's going to be competing for the same amount of goods. And those same amount of goods, will have to go up on the price tag. Hence the idea of inflation, because the monetary base has increased. It will increase 2 or 3 times, hands down, because that's the only way they can try to gain some type of stability when people started, because if you Google, or not Google, just YouTube, some of the side effects of the start of the last recession, I think it was 800 billion or some type of large money was pulled out of money market accounts, CDs. People were cashing in, people were withdrawing funds, all expecting some type of contagion of this debt situation that was happening in 08. And so they had to come in with some TARP, some QE stuff, because people, when they panic, people go to the bank thinking they can get what's theirs, not even knowing that what they think is theirs is not even there, or it won't be able to be liquidated fast enough to even withdraw it in paper. The best thing you can get is digits in your bank account, but you won't be able to get to the paper, at least the amount of paper you think you probably have in there. So check out Mike here. Nice touch, Mike. Love the show. Brandon, okay. Have fun, my friend. Says, hear me go to play. Okay. Nothing makes zero mistakes in pharmacy. Smart Jesse. What else we got here? So anyway, I got screwed after Bush allowed the rates to go up to 30%, paid them off, and haven't opened up a new account since 2007. Yeah, man. That is what's happening. And so I want to talk about the whole dollar aspect. Earlier on, I posed a question at something that was on my mind after Venezuela announced last night that they will no longer even have or possess, or even they won't be using the dollar anymore as a measurement in their markets. They're going to use the euro or the yuan. And the fact that just a couple months ago, Maduro, the president, went to China. They signed 27 different types of agreements on various things. I'm sure currency was one of them. And so apparently by them using the yuan, that means that China will have direct access to acquire oil out of Venezuela and vice versa. So there's going to be some funding coming into the country of Venezuela, and I think it's not. I don't think it's going to work anyway, just because you got the same governmental structure, same school of thought in a socialistic economy. So they're not going to. They're not going to come out of their problems there. But at the end of the day, it's interesting to see that country announced they will not use the dollars to price their oil anymore. So that's one of more to come. And if Saudi Arabia, depending on what happens with this whole journalist thing, if Saudi Arabia is the second country or to follow, because Russia and China already made it clear that they're doing bilateral swaps or currency swaps, so they're not using the dollar like that anymore, and they're not going to get rid of their treasuries right away, but they're not using it like that anymore. So that's 2 or 3 nations that's not using the dollars. Those are all things to consider, my friends, because our lifestyles and our future is all priced in dollars. And I believe the next 5-10 years, the world won't really price things in dollars anymore. So all these notes behind me that's flying at you, it's going to come a day, in my opinion, that you're not going to want to even touch those things just because they may not be able to acquire much. And they're only as useful as the things you can acquire for them. And so if you can't get much for them, you're not going to want them. So Brando says, HODL, BTC, Ethereum, and LTC. Yeah, that's definitely an occasion where you want to probably... So, and I always mention about how right now it's as cheap in reference to whatever you can purchase now than it's ever going to be. Like, you know, your lifestyle now is based upon your current level of income or whatever, is as good as it might get in the near future, given the fact that things around you are going to go up in price because the currency will go down. So take advantage. So this ain't financial advice, but make sure you guys take advantage of the opportunity of acquiring, utilizing these pieces of paper that's floating towards you, you know what I'm saying, for your benefit. And I'm not just talking about frivolously spending and just, you know, pissing off, you know, your hard-earned energy and everything else. Make this stuff work for you while it still can, because somebody's willing to take this stuff still, but that won't always be the case. It says Venezuela will work as long as the countries take it. Yeah, but as far as take what? The petro, the coin, or their currency? It's good to say, and I'd be willing to bet, because now they're going to have euros and yuan, countries will only want to receive euros or yuan. They're not going to receive no petros or no sovereign bolivars. So that it's going to be, they're always going to be in a position where they got to defend their currencies by making sure they hold reserves in euros and yuan to prop up the strength of their currency. As long as, you know, their own citizens are willing to pay taxes in it and collect it and save it and use it, because once again, I'm sure they don't have much yuan in their reserves as of now. It says the U.S. sanctioned Venezuela, Iran, Russia, China, all are using crypto. Very true. And all of those countries are and have been working on their own cryptocurrency. So I wouldn't put it past the fact that the Venezuelan petro, you know, might try to use that. I know they tried to use it with Russia, but Russia mentioned that they don't want to accept that. They want either their oil directly or probably, you know, dollars or gold or whatever their agreements might be. But until we get into a more crypto-friendly mass adoption type of thing, I don't see countries really wanting to use cryptocurrencies, even though it's going to be utilized amongst the governments or nations. But there will come a gold-backed crypto that nations will use, and I think it will probably start from China, who's probably holding the most gold in their reserves. Says, all right, I take it you're not the guy to talk to. Go find someone else. Hear me, what are we talking about here? It says all those countries should just join the euro. Spirit King, that's interesting because I just read an article from a bond trader out of, I think, Switzerland, who referenced the fact that the euro will probably outlast the dollar, to where, you know, he gave out some pretty good information saying that the Americans should expect a 40% devaluation in the dollar in comparison to the euro, and the euro kind of replacing the role of the dollar. So, I don't know. He's a market analyst for the last 40, 50 years, and he's talking about 15-year cycles, and this could be something he see coming. So, yeah. So what we got here says, Henry, can you just tell me no, though, before I go? So I'm not following the thread completely. It says, Mike, do you have a plan to exit Detroit when the collapse happens? It will be hard to hide the fact you're not suffering along with everyone around you, and you will need to protect your meadows. Good point, Kevin. Good point, man. That's something I think about or have thought about more and more. And so I personally, because you can't time anything, I couldn't say that by next summer I'm going to be moving to A, B, C, D. And so I really, this is where I more so rely upon the fact that, from a faith standpoint, a spiritual standpoint, of just believing and trusting that God will make sure that the timing aspect of things, that I'll get some type of inside information or heads up or something, so that I could probably reposition my family if need be, or be able to hold down fort here, of course, in the city, but more likely outside the city. I'm a big fan of the northern part of the state of Michigan, because it's a lot of open area and it's a lot of, great scenery up there. So, having put together, I'm not one of those guys that talk about get your guns and go and get a getaway plan. There's no actual written script on how to get away, other than just making sure I'm ready for any type of change, and then being able to just sustain myself in the midst of that, while trusting God's going to make sure He puts my family in the right position in the meantime. But I do believe in being prepared. It says, Mike, go up to timestamp 654. All right, Philman, I'll scroll up and see what's at 654. Actually, I can't. There's no timestamps on the chat from my side of things, so I can't quite tell where I'm located, where your question's located at. So copy it, just highlight it, copy it, and post it again for me. It says, hearing you don't have friends. Hearing I told you to go find boo-boo. So it looks like, do we have someone here that may not be a willing participant in this great discussion we're having here? It says, hey, man, I see you are married, and I was wondering, do you have any tips on how to get the girl? I'm only asking because I have my ass friend to go tell her. Yeah, I'm not really, I don't really give relationship advice or marital advice or anything of that nature. So we talk about political and monetary matters here, my friend. So, but if that's a serious question, I appreciate it. But yet, that's not anything that I'm able to speak upon. Just search for Henry. It says, God gives us wisdom to get away unharmed. Very true, Kevin. That is very true. Mike, timestamps can be enabled at the menu over the chat. 3 dots. All right, timestamps. Toggle timestamps. Bet. All right. Good job. My man Spirit King on top of it. 654. So Philman wants me to go way back to 654. I can't go back to 654. On my timestamps, we didn't start at 654. Oh, so 654. So you're probably on the West Coast. So that's 954 for me. So let me see. 954. 954. I'm here, Philman. Question. There you go. I see it. Did you know there's a bunch of naval ships surrounding Grenada? People saying that the start of World War III is about to kick off there. I did not know anything about that. So the question is, why and what's happening in that area? So what better way to find out other than to Google it? So let's see what's happening. Okay, something comes up right away. It says rumors fly of U.S. Navy buildup off the coast of Venezuela. Oh man, ain't nothing good about that. Damn. Let's see what this person's talking about. We got the Caribbean news now. And so this came out as of last week. It says St. George, Grenada. According to YouTube video, an American fleet is advancing towards Venezuela, and at this moment is parked off the coast of the island of Grenada. So where is that located at on this map here? Where is Grenada? Oh, damn. So if we off Grenada, that's not too far from Trinidad. That's too close to comfort. So think about this. Here's just something to think about. If this is true, which I don't doubt it, imagine if you are a sovereign country. You know, you're elected president. You're elected president. You got 30, 40 million people in your country. You were elected to protect and operate in the best interest of, and you got a bully that's coming down towards your neck of the woods and sitting across the street from your house. If you're a parent and you got your family in the house, you got a bully across the street standing there with weapons. And how uncomfortable would you feel and threatened would you feel if you got people across the street pointing your way with intentions that aren't friendly? Can you see how that might piss some people off and make people want to start just defending themselves? So if this is true, it says U.S.-led invasion of Venezuela and also strong support for U.S. Senator from Florida, Marco Rubio. And so if the United States of America invades or intervenes in Venezuela, that's unacceptable. Because once again, why are we involved in foreign affairs when Venezuela, despite the fact that Maduro is portrayed as being a dictator and starving his people to death, whatever, that has nothing to do with us here in this country. But the only reason they're going down there, they say humanitarian aid, they say political this and that, but it's because of the threat that Venezuelan has put against the dollar. By them now removing the dollar out of their economy, they're basically saying that we want nothing to do with you for real, sanctions or not. And so because of that, that's a threat to national interest, the United States national interest. And so because of that, I guess they might be sending ships down there to scare or to eventually do something with. But once again, it's I don't agree with it, but man, that is what it is, man. It is what it is. That's just how we get down. It looks like if they pose a threat or don't want to play by our rules, we just bomb them, or they bomb them. It says not one fleet but two. The second is about 2 days away to the northeast of Venezuela. Right. So you got to imagine Maduro. He has to defend himself. So yeah, man. Yeah, and unfortunately they don't have any type of army. So watch this, people. In the next week or two, depending on how this plays out, I wouldn't be surprised if Russia sends a couple S-400s over to Venezuela, because right now the U.S. and Venezuela don't have good political relationships. So because Venezuela owes Russia a pretty penny, even though Russia forgave a little bit, I can imagine that Putin could send a couple S-400s or whatever he has over to Venezuela, which could deter or slow down progress of this possible invasion. So people, I'm just giving you a heads up. Don't be surprised if I come back in a week or two and it says Russia sends in S-400s and some bombers and some ships or something to help the Venezuelan people, because they definitely would need help against our arsenal, because it wouldn't even be much of a fight. Says Mike, if I recall correctly, 6 months ago before the Iraq War, Saddam announced they were selling their oil in Spirit King, good one. Whether 6 months, a couple months, or whatever, it didn't end well. But what made it easier for the U.S. to go in, because of the 9/11. So hence the idea that 9/11 happened, which made the whole spill of weapons of mass destruction possible, because of this EU, this Europe, the Europe for oil for Euro deal. So is that kind of saying that between now and the time a ship goes into Venezuela, under the guise of Maduro gases people. So that's another thing. There's always chemical weapons involved, so they could easily say that Maduro gases his own people or something like that, and that could give that could be that false flag that gives us the go ahead to go in there and to make something happen. So what I'm getting at is that you can never know what's happening. If it is true that ships are off the coast of Venezuela, has to be a reason. The reason isn't because they're going down there to shake hands. They're going down there to remove Maduro or whatever because of the threat of the dollar. So that being the case, man, that's just something we should all be concerned with, because this all comes back and it makes Americans, more especially, look like the aggressors. Where you and I, people watching us right now, we already can see through all this smoke to what's really happening, but yet we're lumped in with this mess that's being created right now, as if it's anything we want to be a part of. But if we had options to opt out, I'm sure we would. But unfortunately, at this current moment, we can't opt out, but we can stay prayed up and prepare on our end as best we can. Says Mike, I would agree with that. However, that's a clear violation of the Monroe Doctrine. Yeah, Jesse, I wouldn't doubt that it's a violation of all types of things, but yet who's going to challenge us and who's going to stop it? So, yeah, that's the thing, when our country has a heavy influence over the UN and all the world powers kind of, play by our rules because of the dollar status, I think they can rewrite or come up with their own rules. Because the fact that right now, I was watching on a news alert, not long ago, but we actually have troops. We have boots on the ground in Syria right now. Apparently a lot of boots on the ground in Syria. But yet we're not even in war with Syria. So why is there military presence in a country where we weren't even invited? And so I remember years ago when Obama came on national TV talking about a red line and wanted to send people over there. But to be honest with you, there's already people there. It just wasn't mainstream topic. So there's American soldiers in Syria right now uninvited. So that's a violation. But the world knows, people who pay attention knows, but the boot's still on the ground. And they funding, and they sending taxpayer dollars to buy guns and ammunition for the moderate rebels. So once again, my whole point is I don't think it really matters what doctrines are violated, because they play by and make their own rules. Yeah, Kevin. Yeah, and I hope it don't get to that point. I'm not even gonna say the N word like that. I don't like that 4-letter word, because that's once. Yeah, I'm gonna stop talking about that one, because that's the last. That's all she wrote. It says everything comes in threes, especially world war. Knocking the U.S. off its horse is the only way to save the earth from ourselves. Yeah, man, and that's the thing. We are part of the U.S. We're citizens, man. So knocking the U.S. off puts us in a very bad position. All the world's in defense mode against the U.S. All the world leaders recently laughed at Trump and his idiotic bragging a few days ago. Yeah, I saw his speech at the UN, United Nations. He's saying he was the best president we've had in years. They just started laughing. He was like, yeah, I didn't expect that one. U.S. People biggest army on the planet. USA people biggest army on the planet. Guns behind every blade of grass. Typo. Man, I really. We might have the highest. We might have the most people enrolled or employed by the government for our military forces, but I don't think we are the best and baddest thing walking, because our technology is inferior to our eastern counterparts by far. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mike, Tony from Oakland. What's going on, bro?
Tony, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good. Do I need to send that to you? I think you said we already started.
Yeah, okay. If you want to send it, sure. But yeah, if you want to wait for confirmation via mainstream news,
okay.
I don't mind holding off.
Oh, okay.
How you doing, man?
So where are we at? We on Venezuela? What are we on?
We seem to be.
I see a couple people in
right.
chat.
We seem to have we transitioned to Venezuela, and the fact that somebody mentioned that there's some ships off the coast of Grenada, and they're heading towards Venezuela, and that spells trouble. So I was actually talking about that and how Yeah, go ahead.
I seen that, and I was kind of skeptical of it at first, but then I forgot that China has a medical ship over there, and they could be guarding that medical ship just to make sure nothing sets off.
So Venezuela, so the United States of America is guarding that Chinese ship, you said?
No, China sent their medical ship to Venezuela and is sitting in Caracas right now.
Correct.
And it was only supposed to be there for a week, but this has been longer than a week.
Okay, so
I think there's a possibility they could be guarding their interests, let me say.
I wouldn't doubt it. And as I mentioned, from Maduro's visit to Xi Jinping a couple of months ago, one of those 27 agreements that was made amongst those two countries had to do with the maritime law alteration, to where, without knowing much about it, but basically Venezuela allowed Chinese to utilize their waterway access as a part of their agreement. So China, according to whatever the deal was worked out, has a right to be off of Venezuelan coast because of the agreements and the development I'm sure China is helping out with. So, once again, that was an agreement between two parties that didn't include us. So why are we, sending troops down there to monitor that? So, we're playing with fire there.
We can't. No one has identified those ships because the transponders are off. The ASI responders are off. No one knows whose ships they are. But I think China's down there protecting their interests, and Russia may be down there protecting their interests because China gave them $5 billion after that deal, and Russia is getting the oil from them and trading in the heavy crude to make it a light crude in order to sell on the market. So Russia's got an interest in Syria too. How are they getting paid through Syria? We don't know.
Right. Good point there. So here's the thing. Go ahead.
No, I'm after you.
No, so I was going to say like that. So we're talking about those are 2 or 3 stories that have major ramifications. If something goes wrong, they can be a major catalyst towards some type of domino falling, as I was mentioning earlier. And we just know a piece of the story. You know what I'm saying? So this stuff always just goes so deep that it's hard to unwrap it all, man. So we can have stuff to talk about for days.
I agree, but I'm gonna say this, and then I'll probably let you go.
Okay.
It's all part of the plan,
and
it's all big. It's all big oil. If you look at these things, they're sanctioned Venezuela, Russia, Iraq. These are OPEC nations. They're trying to force the OPEC nations out so the U.S. can get their oil on the market. And I don't think it's going to happen. They're just going to let them get a piece of it because they've got some good stuff. U.S. has got some good stuff out there.
Yeah. And
they're just going to let them get a piece of it. But U.S. wants more, and they ain't going to let them have a lot.
Whew, okay, I don't doubt it, man. And it's all about. So it sounds like it's all about the oil. It's all about energy. Who controls the energy and the money supply? Controls the world for the most part. Would you agree?
No, they can print the money. They can print the money
for now, but who's going to accept on the other end?
They're all in this together.
They're all in it together, but there's gonna come a day. There's gonna come a day where somebody on the other end of that trade will not want paper no more, or a debt instrument in the form of a bond or treasury. That will happen one day.
The last time this happened was World War II. Some kind of triggering event has to happen. Where I don't know if it's going to be a triggering event. It's just going to be us looking like Boo Boo the Fool.
So you don't want to put Boo Boo in there, huh?
Yeah, you need to get rid of Henry. Everybody knows Henry. It's like, bye, Henry.
Okay, so yeah, I wasn't reading
it. Brother, I ain't going to hold you.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling.
Have a good one, Mike.
All right, you too.
Later.
So yeah, you don't want to put the Boo Boo the Fool in there. I was wondering what that was about, man. But anyway, people, it's been an hour, man. We got a couple people call in. And so far we got 22 thumbs up and we got about 70 or so people watching. So if you've enjoyed the back and forth, if you enjoyed some of the information shared, don't be afraid to click that thumbs up button, because what the thumbs up button does, it shows me that you're A, enjoying the conversation, and B, it helps on the YouTube side of things to let people know that this is a show that people do actually value. So if you don't mind, click that thumbs up button and show your boy some love. And then also, I'm trying to come up with, so I can ask for you guys your help right now. So via chat, I'll pose this question, then we'll get ready to log off for this evening. But the question is, I want to do another giveaway. So I'm thinking about what would be of interest that I could give to you guys for being such great sports and joining your boy on the evening side of things, and also be something that other people who are not a part of the RTD community might be interested in getting in the contest for, to promote the channel, as well as to get some new viewers in here, some new school of thought, and some more ideas, so we can continue to learn from one another. So, because we have a lot of people in here, we have metals people, we have crypto people. What else out there that might be worthy, that people would be willing to, because I'll probably set up another giveaway, because it's been about 3 or 4 months since I did a silver giveaway. I gave away a 10-ounce bar to a winner. Who was it? I forgot who it was. But anyway, so somebody won a 10-ounce bar, and so definitely I wouldn't mind doing that again. And so someone said silver or gold. So I'm gonna put some thought to it, but I was just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on the matter. What type of giveaway do you guys think will be worthy of people wanting to join in? And a part I gotta draw this, gotta get some rules as well. You gotta be an RTD subscriber. You're gonna have to you have to join us for the live talk to hear your name called off. And if you're not present in the live talk on whatever day it is, then you're disqualified type of thing. So I'm gonna make some strict restrictions to make sure people are just are interested in, for the information, incentivized by the object we're giving away. And so what else? We got ammo. We got gift cards for Christmas. We got silver, gold. We got stacking silver Ritz crackers. An old Morgan dollar. Yeah, I did a Morgan dollar giveaway too. Yeah, I did one of those. Yep, I did a 18 something the Morgan dollar. That was, I think, earlier this year, I think. KBC coins. James. KBC coins. I noticed the price went down. It was close to like 2 cents. Now it's almost about to drop below 1 cent. And so I'm curious about the KBC coins because I'm familiar with it a little bit. But apart from the fact there's so many other cryptos coming out now that's backed by gold, I'm trying to figure out how will that market, there's going to be so much competition in that market. And so I want to see how that plays out before I really dive in any further into that. Gold for hedge, silver for exchanging. Not just Bitcoin too. It says, is there a catch? Catch to what? No catch at all. I'm genuinely going to give away. And the whole idea is to basically spread more awareness to the channel. And so part of the restrictions will be that you have to be a subscriber. And I'll give an end date that would allow you to, share on your side, because you have to share, you have to enter via your email, and then you get a personalized link for your email address that you then can share. And the more people click on your version of that link, you get points for it. So the more points you get, which means the more people are involved in you sharing, you win. So at the end of the giveaway, the person with the most points from people clicking on or sharing their own individualized link wins. And I just get your address, I send you your goods. So it is what it is, man. But it's fun just to see people interact and just basically support you guys for supporting me. So that's the goal of it. Since I think giving away Bitcoin's crypto would draw more views to this channel. Jeff, I thought about the same thing. So I might do a Litecoin giveaway. That's been on my mind for a while now. So I might do a Litecoin giveaway. Because the good thing about Litecoin, as well as silver, I'm a strong believer that both of them will go up nominally in price. I believe that the price of either one of those, silver or Litecoin, will be at least twice its nominal value now, next year at this time. So anyway, it's a win-win, because all you gotta do is just share your personalized link. It says a tour of Crunk Gym. A tour of Crunk Gym. Ah, man, Crunk Gym. I ain't heard that word in a while. Last time I heard, the Crunk Gym is no longer standing. And so actually they I think it closed. And last time I saw it was vacant. I drove past Crunk Gym because that's on the west side, the southwest side of Detroit. So for those that don't know the Crunk Gym, it's an old legendary building, like a recreation center on the west side with Tommy Hearns and a lot of fighters from Detroit trained in that gym. And so I'm looking online now, and it says it looked like it's been Crunk Community Center. So it looked like it might be back open. So Yeah, but I haven't been there in a minute. Crunk Gym. I remember I used to play basketball in that gym years ago. I think crypto is best. Predominantly get the crypto community here. I was going to say Litecoin. Once Manny Stewart left, it was all done. Manny Stewart. That name sounds familiar. Manny Stewart. Julie, what year did Manny Stewart leave? That name sounds familiar. Yeah. So, with that being the case, I'm going to actually Google that and find out for myself. But anyway, people, it's been great as always hanging out with you this evening. It's been fun. A lot of great back and forward. It says make an RTD token in waves and Teth and Ether and give that away. Omnibone. I actually thought about an RTD token, but then I got to get into the more of the, I don't want to just make something that's, just for the sake of making it like everybody else out here making coins and tokens. I want to have actual value. And I would have to find a way to, give it value in this realm here, because I couldn't back it by gold or silver or back it by anything other than the channel. So, but Omni, if you got some ideas on how to make that happen, I'm open to hear. Shoot your boy an email. And also, Omni, appreciate that donation, my friend. I thank you for that. It says James Nellis, XRP will bring in a lot of people also. XRP. Yeah, XRP. Yeah, interesting. RTD coin has a nice name to it. Oh yeah, people. I don't know how to do all the development aspect of it, but I'm sure I can YouTube how to create your own coin. Spirit King, go to rethinkingthedollar.com. It's admin ADMIN at rethinkingthedollar.com, or you can scroll down to the bottom of this video and the email is down there. That's a good one. That's a good one. Cool. So I put some thought to it, man. So yeah, if you guys have ideas, shoot your boy an email, and I'll look it over and whatnot. But other than that, as always, it's been fun hanging out with you guys. More importantly, Patreon. If you guys want to be a blessed to the channel, feel free to become a Patreon subscriber. And so I'm working on more exclusive content that I can give to you guys. I'm thinking about actually doing some alternative. Not alternative, but some additional informative videos outside of the ones I do when I do interviews that will be only for subscribers or members of the Patreon account. So that's something I'm working on as well. And then also, another thing I was thinking about was I would love to have a co-host for the show. And so I would love to find out those who have a interest in getting into media and have a presence and want to share in this opportunity to communicate with an audience. So I wouldn't mind having someone join me via another live stream, and we can go back and forth, make it like an actual talk show with two people, and people call in and ask questions and us debate and have like a good guy, bad guy type of talk show. So playing with a lot of ideas out here that will be fun, as well as a way to get people to just stay informed of what's happening. Yeah, I don't doubt it, James. I don't doubt it. But as always, thanks for tuning in, my friends. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this conversation. Share this if you found it informative. And then also, if you guys want to donate cryptocurrency, got my Bitcoin address up there, as well as at the very bottom of this in the donation tab. If you guys want to support me with some Litecoin or Dash, your boy would appreciate it greatly, because it's just more encouragement and more fuel to stay in this mix in the midst of all the stuff that's happening behind the scenes. So other than that, be safe. Enjoy your evening. I'll see you tomorrow night, 9:30 p.m. Enjoy your evening. Be safe.